people could not be here from the global south, but we are here. Our leaders are here and they are fighting for climate justice.
My name is Tetet Lauron. I'm from the Philippines and I work with Rosa Luxemburg Foundation. It's climate negotiation season again, and as we approach COP28, we would like to remind especially developed country governments of the need to realize the fundamentals for a successful COP28 outcome. A, for accountability, which is towards people and planet and not towards corporations that have profited and continues to profit from the extraction and destruction of the planet's resources. We need B, binding commitments for meaningful and substantive climate action, which includes the phase out of fossil fuels, fast, fair, and forever. C, we need climate finance that is in line with the historical responsibility and the need for polluters to clean up the mess that they have created and continue to create. Towards this, we need for COP28 to conclude with the negotiations around the global goal on adaptation and especially operationalizing the COP27 decision of establishing a loss and damage fund. We need for this fund to be science-based, human rights-centered, providing grants, and not debt-creating loans for developing countries, all developing countries. That will be the ultimate test if we are to judge the outcome of yet another climate negotiation session.
My name is Kiel Kühne. I'm the director of the Leave It in the Ground initiative Lingo. I'm originally from Germany and based in Mexico. My most important demand for COP28 is that it addresses the root of the climate emergency, which is our addiction to fossil fuels. So governments should be open about the fact that the climate crisis is driven by the burning of coal, oil, and fossil gas, and that we urgently need to find ways to do without them. So getting rid of the extraction and burning of fossil fuels is at the heart of the crisis and needs to be worked out. Right now, up to now, the UNFCCC process has tried to avoid that topic. For some years now, we have seen it pop up in the declarations that we need to phase out or phase down fossil fuels, but really it's about the logistics of it. How do we do that? If some countries need help, how do we provide that help? How do we accelerate the pace of eliminating fossil fuels from our energy systems? And that is the common challenge. I would call it the situation addiction, and we need to break that addiction, and fossil fuels need to be at the heart of COP28.
Hello, my name is Carmen Capriles. I am from Reacción Climática based in La Paz, Bolivia. And today I'm going to be speaking about our expectations on the next COP28 of climate change that will take place on Dubai at the end of November. In that sense, what is our main aim as activists from the South is to that the convention start focusing on human rights, that starts acknowledging the right to a healthy environment, for example, and to start taking into account in the different mechanisms that it has how to prevent or how to help the most vulnerable. In that sense, we welcome the fact that now we have a loss and damage fund. Nevertheless, we are seeing problems in the implementation of the fund, in how is this fund going to get to the most vulnerable in a very fast and effective way, and not get lost in the whole world bureaucracy that we have seen in the case of other funding. In that same line, we also need to acknowledge that for Latin America and the Caribbean, we have an ESCASO agreement which guarantees access to participation, access to participation in decision making, access to information, access to environmental justice, and that includes climate justice. Therefore, we need to start focusing on how this participation can be really more effective. And the last thing we want to take into account is that we need an implementation of the gender action plan. Having a gender action plan is not enough. We really need to focus on an effective and meaningful implementation that takes into account all the sectors of the population that are vulnerable and that are already facing the impacts of climate change. Thank you.
Hello, my name is David Nkigi Munene. I work with the Catholic Youth Network for Environmental Sustainability in Africa, based in Nairobi, Kenya, and with chapters across the continent. Our demands for the UNFCCC COP28 in Dubai is that, number one, the loss and damage fund shall be operationalized with huge commitments and bankable finances for the developing world, and especially the climate vulnerable countries and those that have suffered the detriments of climate change, especially because of the developed world extractive approach to development. Secondly, we are demanding that the fair share that should have been contributed to the Global Climate Fund be instituted already, and the 80 billion that has been already banked into it get to 100 billion and beyond. We expect that out of this COP there will be huge commitments and in fact practical solutions to digression from fossil fuels and the extractive industries that are causing the temperature rise. We hope that the developed world and the developing world could come together for once and speak for the climate, for the planet. For what is the point that you develop in a climate that is ruining your lives? What is the point that there is development if development comes through death and extinction of the human species, biodiversity, and else? Thank you.
I am Azrat Al Saeed, working with an organization called Roots for Equity. As everybody knows, Pakistan is one of the most vulnerable countries now to climate crisis. And the demands that especially the small and landless farmers in this country are making is, number one, that the advanced countries, advanced industrialized countries must cut their carbon emissions because they are the main cause of climate crisis. And along with that demand is that there should be sustainable production and consumption in the rich countries. Only that will allow the consumption, allow the carbon emissions to come down. So that is one. And the other one, which is more local to our reality in Pakistan, that there must be a equitable, just distribution of land, genuine agrarian reforms, so that the very, very rich farmers who have many, many hundreds of acres of land hold a lot of political power and also adopt a very invasive agrochemical based agriculture production. And instead of that, we should be promoting and subsidizing agroecology, which would sustain not only the people but also all living beings, biodiversity, and bring back the fertility of our soil and have an ecosystem which is thriving and full of life. So I hope that the COP28 will be heeding the needs and demands of the people. The decision making has to come from the people. The implementation of the policies that are pro-people, pro-farmers, pro-rural communities should be decided and implemented by the people themselves. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Nat Danya from the Philippines. I'm with the Action Group on Erosion, Technology and Concentration, or etc. group. The following demands are critical to the development and implementation of real solutions to climate change at the UNFCCC's COP28 in Dubai. 1. The UNFCCC must focus on ensuring the deep and rapid reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, not on ways to mask or compensate for continued emissions such as carbon markets. Second, none of the geoengineering technologies proposed will reduce emissions or address any of the root causes of climate change. Promoting carbon removals through geoengineering only delays and distracts from the rapid reduction of emissions that the world urgently needs now. Third, all geoengineering proposals are speculative, cannot be deployed at scale and pose significant risk to the environment and human rights, including to the rights of indigenous peoples and local communities, the rights of peasants and farmers' communities, and food sovereignty. Fourth, the UNFCCC and its bodies must respect, recognize, and honor the precautionary decisions on geoengineering technologies adopted at the Convention on Biological Diversity since 2008 and the London Convention and London Protocol on Marine Dumping, and should not sanction activities that are being restricted and under the scrutiny of other UN fora. Fifth, no geoengineering technologies, including bioenergy capture and storage, or BECS, ocean fertilization, and direct air capture, should be approved to be registered as potential removals under the mechanisms of Article 6.4 and Article 6.8 of the Paris Agreement. Sixth, no marine geoengineering proposals should be considered at all under the Oceans and Climate Dialogues of the UNFCCC. And lastly, because of the multiple threats to food security, food sovereignty, and to peasant and indigenous livelihoods, agricultural soil or carbon farming should not be integrated into carbon markets. With these demands and continued vigilance by civil society and social movements globally, we can prevent global institutions from falling to false solutions such as geoengineering and champion real ones. Thank you.